Today's video is brought to us by MagTech Ammunition. Whether I'm shooting rifle or pistol, if I'm on the range training, MagTech Ammunition is along for the ride. Hey everybody, it's John, and I'm here with my friend John Johnston from Ballistic Radio, and we put up a video about why I think appendix carry may be the best choice even for a newer carrier. And of course that broke the gunter net, and nobody wants to hear that noise, and we got two questions. And so we're here at Ben Avery today. We just finished the RIMFIRE Guardian with John and Melody Lauer. And the two questions that we got, John, were number one, how do you sit down carrying appendix? Number two, how in the world can you safely draw a gun while seated in a car, for instance? So I brought a trigger downrange once we've cleared everything else out. So let's first talk about, John, how do you sit down while carrying appendix?
Right. It's hard, difficult. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to point my butt at this seat. Now that I have pointed my butt at this seat, one magic trick.
Wait, let me try. Okay.
No, wait. Point your butt at it.
All right, so first I have to point my butt at the seat. And now I...
Bend your knees. Yep, up. Oh.
Okay, so let's describe that a little bit. So really the thing is, you've got to have a belt with a little bit of flex to it. You're wearing a Graith?
Yeah, right now I got a Graith on. I usually do Volan. I've been playing with the Graith. I like their buckle a lot. Having a belt that's got a little bit of flex. So one of the things that gets said with gun belts is stiffer is better. And in traditional outside the waistband carry, with a strong side holster, that makes sense to me. For an appendix carry holster specifically, not as much. So that's number one.
And I do, this is a wilderness frequent flyer, wilderness tactical, same thing. Little bit more flexibility while still being stiff enough to hold the gun on.
Right. The other important thing too is that you need to have a holster that is set up properly for your body type, lays into the inguinal crease the correct way, is angled the correct way, and honestly having your pants, for me at least, not everyone, but for me at least, having your pants have enough rise to where you're not wearing them super low.
Enough height. Now you said a phrase. You said inguinal crease.
Yeah. So the crease right here. Not
groin and leg.
Yeah. Not trying to get the internet to look at my crotch again. However, so right in between your groin and your leg, the inguinal crease. Make sure that the holster is in there. Now you can use. I like a little bit longer of a holster. That's generally works better for me, at least, and especially when I was bigger. Works better for me. You can use a pad on the back of the holster if you're concerned about like comfort, stuff like that. You know, either like the Lima mod or the Keeper's holster comes with their own. You can do the yoga block hack. There's all sorts of different ways to do that. But if you...
And that wedge pushes that holster out a little bit. When you wedge it, that pushes the muzzle away when we're going to go start drawing the gun.
Right. And that's the important part too. If you've got the holster set up the right way, it's comfortable no matter what you do. So like I can do a full-on, squat, no problem. I could do yoga stuff here if I wanted to. No big deal. The difficult part of that is the fact I have no cartilage in my knees, not that I'm wearing a gun.
Yeah.
Right? So no worries. And the people that talk about, well, try sitting down. Well, I do it every day. I live with this thing, and no issues.
Drive for hours and hours, never a problem.
Yeah, so the longest drive I've ever done carrying AIWB was 36 hours in the tactical short bus to SHOT Show a couple years ago.
Now, recognize that getting an appendix carry holster to work right for you, it's not like buying a holster. You're not going to just grab it off the shelf and it's not going to be perfect. It's more like fitting a prosthesis than anything, to get that yoga block or the wedge or all that stuff just right for you and positioned right and belt right.
It kind of depends, man. That's kind of the reason why I like the holsters that I like, is because they're adjustable and I can generally get them to work well for me. I've had a lot of luck with Dark Star gear. Now, full disclosure, he's given me free holsters. But some other companies are excellent with the Filster, Keeper's Concealment, JM Custom Kydex.
I get a lot of holsters from KSG Armory too. Those would be the four that I would go to first.
Yeah, and if you want to try something that's readily available, a lot of places, and you carry a Glock, the Raven Concealment Eidolon would be another pretty modular option. So it just depends. The other important one too, and this is a big deal, is a lot of people think that they need to carry a short gun appendix, like a Glock 26 or something, a G42.
Little.
And that is, I know it's counterintuitive, but the longer muzzle has actually been more comfortable for me.
So if you want to carry a 19, you might want a holster that's a 17.
Right. And if you're going to carry, a 17, carry it in a 34 holster. It just depends. But general rule of thumb is longer muzzles conceal better and are more comfortable. I know that seems weird,
But it works.
Yeah.
All right, come around here. Let's go sit and we'll face up range here.
Yep. So
Sitting down.
Yeah.
Now, one of the big things we get asked all the time, what about drawing from a seated position?
Sure.
Because you're going to shoot your junk off.
Yeah, really shouldn't. So the important part of this, right? And I assume we're talking about like if we're in a car.
Yeah, but we're going to show it out here and then we'll do it again.
Yeah. So the important part of this, and it's going to be hard to do without a back to this, but you're going to bridge your hips kind of off of the seat, and when you draw the gun, you're just drawing straight out. The part where if you do it wrong, so this is a blue gun, right? If you do it wrong, that you might be muzzling yourself, would be as if you're far, far forward, and when the gun starts to clear the holster, you angle in this way. That's not what I have found in practice, though. Okay, and especially if I'm bridging my hips back
So
again.
if I kick my hips up, and we'll see this in the car in a second, but really when you kick your hips forward like this and press downward, if I'm not going to get naked for you to see this, but the muzzle of this gun is not covering anything of my bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Because of the wedge and because of the way that the holster is built.
I'm having some trouble with the connection.
Ha ha.
Let's try again in a moment.
Siri is having a hard time. We'll try that again.
So, you want to do it in the car?
Let's do it in the car.
Here, I'll show them. Now, did you leave the keys in this that I can just grab this
You
off?
can start it, but it'll after about 20 feet of it being away from me, the key's in my pocket, so you're in trouble.
All right. So the important part of this, okay, and it's a lot easier to see in a car, all right, is bridging your hips up. So I'm getting the gun away from me, and I'm even angling it back. You can sort of see the muzzle of the holster is right here. Now, would I want the gun to go off here? Absolutely not. But if it did, it would just really scare me bad. It wouldn't hit anything, okay? And I'm gonna come straight out and up. And then if I need to do anything else, I'm leaving, work with a seatbelt or something like that. I'm leaving the gun indexed on the steering wheel for right now, okay? So how would you set this up if you were actually driving the car and you've got your seatbelt on? Because that's another one that I hear a lot. You're gonna leave the lap belt still across the bridge of your hips, and what you're gonna do is just stage the shoulder belt behind the grip of the gun, okay? Why do we leave this across the bridge of the hips? If you bring this up behind the gun, it's no longer on the bone structure here, and when the seatbelt pretensioner goes off, that can cause a lot of problems, all right? This, it's still everywhere where it needs to be. So same thing, bridge the hips, straight up and out, all right? Ideally, in a perfect world, we wouldn't be drawing the gun sitting down. But if we've gotten to the point where we're in a car and we need to draw a firearm, we can do it in a way that mitigates the most risk possible and is relatively safe considering the environment, especially when we're thinking about the only time I'm doing this is when I need to shoot through my windshield or side window. It's all right, and it's not really any different than if I were carrying strong side.
It really isn't. One other thing I see people talking about all the time is you're going to muzzle your legs if you have to shoot out this driver's side window, John. So why don't you talk about how I not muzzle myself drawing for a threat out my driver's side window.
So once again, and I'll come back.
Notice he bridges his hips forward.
Yeah, so same thing. Draw straight ahead, work this way. Just like this. So the draw stroke is not going to be across our legs, all right? It's going to be up and then out.
So you notice it comes right between his legs, not muzzling himself when he comes out of the holster, and then he does that. So, I hope that answers your guys' questions. Sitting down is really easy if you've got a good belt, good holster, decent gun. Little longer holster helps you a lot, even in the car. Bridging the hips, using the backrest of the seat gives you everything you need to go. Appendix carry can be done very safely without pointing a gun at yourself. Now, the last thing I'm going to say, a holster gun, I get this all the time. People say, yeah, but you're pointing a gun at your junk all day. This gun is not pointed at anything right now. It is holstered. A holstered gun is not pointed. It is holstered. For me to point something, I have to point. This is what I do with my hands. Once I get the gun moving out of the holster, has to be very careful to be pointed in the safest direction, which means not at me. So that's why we holster and unholster in safe manner. So, John, thanks, bro.